of Eswatini on country presentation of African horse sickness. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Did you invite all the media to come in?
No.
Record your presentation?
It's the shortest presentation.
Is it?
It is the shortest presentation.
So after this presentation, we will have time for discussion. So please note your questions, comments.
What is this now?
So where do I press? This,
Yeah.
this one or this one?
The one on the right.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, Chair, for giving me the floor. I can assure you this will be the shortest presentation for this for this for this session. Yes, I hope there is a prize for that. Charles, I heard this morning that you were looking for the shortest presentation. You'll have it this time. Please give me a prize. Yes, so, oh, sorry, it's moving too fast. Okay, so the starting point really, I thought about it, where to start. And as a regulator, I found it easier to actually start on what empowers us to do the work that we do. We have the Animal Disease Act of 1965 and its amendments, and we have the Stock Diseases Regulations, and in these regulations, there are specified diseases of horses and of all animals and all sorts. All the listed diseases are actually specified, and the regulations encompass a whole spectrum of veterinary work, including dealing with outbreaks and import-export vaccinations, quarantines, etc. Animal Identification Act is another act, is another legislation that is relevant. I think I had a difficulty in preparing for this presentation because there were so many questions about, wow, where are we exactly? What do we do and how do we do things? So this is just the location, just indicating that we have a lot of South Africa around us and a bit of Mozambique, and we cover an area of 17.4 thousand square kilometers, and we are mountainous. The population, I'm not sure if it is still correct, but just above 1 million, 1.3, 1.2, depending who's okay. I thought, again, because you are interested in knowing what we do, the veterinary system, this is the country, and the dots you see represent what we call dipping tanks. Or the dipping tanks are actually like, I would say, animal health clinics around the country. And the shades, the blue is a region, the yellow is a region, and like that, and the different divisions are actually sub-regions. This is how we run the country in terms of disease control. We have cordon fences. We have cordon fences on the eastern side, and so basically every part of this country falls within an veterinary epidemiological unit. Where we are, there is a dipping tank that we fall within. So when we deal with animal disease, we use the dipping tank areas as an epidemiological unit. So when we quarantine or we vaccinate or those things, this is how we do it. Programs that we have in general, again, I just went for the programs that we have in general. Dipping is one of them, which is actually a very important part of our passive surveillance of our surveillance, passive surveillance, and this is where also we do the active surveillance at the dipping tank. Our animals, the cattle, the ruminants, especially cattle, are brought to the dip tank once every 7 days in summer, and so we are able to inspect them and see if they have any disease. We have the livestock identification and traceability system, which includes branding and individual animal ID. So when we move our animals, they are all registered against an owner, against the dip tank, against the region. And when you move the animal, you must apply for a permit to move that particular animal. Surveillance, of course, we have the passive surveillance, but we also have active surveillance, especially for the diseases that we are free from, foot and mouth, PPR, CBPP, those who are free with recognition, the first three. These others, of course, we have brucella and TB, and we are doing surveillance. Vaccination schedules, the best done these days is only rabies. And brucella, we have had 1 or 2 challenges here and there, but it is also another disease that we vaccinate for. And then we have our activities also include import-export controls and ambulatory services. Now, let's come back to the topic of horses. Yesterday, years ago, what we used to do is horses were for transport and draft power, and this now has been replaced by cars and tractors. Mules we have a huge forestry industry in the country. The western part of the country, the mountainous part of the country has lots of forests. And in the forest, they were using mules for logging. And now this has been replaced by machinery. Donkeys in the rural areas were used for transport, and they've been replaced by cars and buses. As such, yesterday's equine population was higher and diverse. Today, it is much smaller, and it is focused on horses in the tourism and hospitality industry, and horses in the gaming or racing. Tomorrow's horses, I'm not sure what will happen. Maybe we'll have AI horses or virtual gaming, I'm not sure. There may be emergence of another industry that would demand real equines. It's a possibility. So basically, the susceptible population that we have using the 2020 census, about 800 horses, about 10,000 donkeys, and only 20 mules. There used to be many more, but now since they are not used in the logging industry. And then we have a lot of zebras. Horses are mostly distributed in the western part of the country. So they are mostly warm blood competing horses with few thoroughbreds. And most stables we do have a mosquito control program. Horses are stable at night, and there is a vaccination program. All outbreaks in horses actually because they are vaccinated, you get a mild clinical manifestation of outbreaks. Doesn't want to move forward? Okay. So, since '93, African horse sickness has been reported around Manzini, Matsapa. As you can see, those dots that look like some kind of virus dots, and they've been reported around Manzini, Matsapa, or around the urban, mainly close to the urban areas. And outbreaks originally were every 7 to 10 years. To us, one horse with African horse sickness is an outbreak. It was an outbreak until, of course, we realized that since we are now getting every year, we are now getting at least one case. We are now we consider ourselves endemic, and therefore we no longer provide the immediate notification to the OIE or to the WUA. The serotypes that we see is serotype 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 7. Definitely we share these viruses with our neighbors, as we share our lives with our neighbors. Control measures that we put in place, of course, is quarantine in case of an outbreak. Remember the deep tank area epidemiological units. So if there is an outbreak within a dipping tank area, we quarantine that dipping tank and the what we call in-conduct dipping tanks. And so we do vaccination, of course, and stabling of the horses at night. And so now I think I'm behind here, but generally the horse industry is attended by both government and private veterinary services. Racehorses cross borders for competitions, so it's regional competitions. So really, because of the constant contact between our horses and our neighboring countries' horses, whatever we do in African horse sickness or any other equine disease, we need to harmonize, and we are harmonizing all the time. Management and disease control is generally the responsibility of the owners in the horse industry. The veterinary services insist on vaccination of African horse sickness, and horses that are not vaccinated are not allowed to move or to travel, especially to move out of the country. Horses are vaccinated annually between the month of June and October. The vaccine used is live attenuated, supplied in 2 bottles. I think because now I'm a BBC, born before computers, and my clinic days are way past. During my time, it was every 3, you vaccinated the 2 vaccines 3 weeks apart. Now today I've heard that you do them 4 weeks apart. So the vaccine, of course, is manufactured by OPP. Before I say siyabonga. No, before that, there's a slide that must come before that. Now I don't know why it is not coming back. How do I bring it back? It's not responding.
Just in computer, try to go back.
It's not responding. Yeah, anyway, it was a conclusion. So since it's a very big conclusion, I needed 2 gentlemen to help me. So African horse sickness is, of course, a scheduled disease and therefore is subject to regulation in the country. The horse industry, as I've said, is small, dominated by horses in the hospitality industry and racing horses. It is almost wholly, not wholly as in the Jesus Christ holy. It was supposed to be wholly in the hands of the affluent, and they cater for disease control. The horses are vaccinated annually. African horse sickness has become endemic, and eradication of the disease is not a priority at the moment. Reason being that relatively there is low economical and social incentives to eradicate it, and also the use of live attenuated vaccines is a challenge, and the constant transboundary exposure during sporting events. So that is the last. I'm telling you, this is not it's deciding not to move, but it's okay.
Yeah, just.
Okay, a quick one, maybe to to Roland and also to OBP presentation. Are you you are putting in place a post-vaccination monitoring to know how these vaccines, how the vaccination and also the vaccines are working? Thank you.
Thank you. In terms of that, I must say, as a vaccine manufacturer, most of the time we follow up on these aspects if we have received customer complaints related to that. That's what we use to assess the performance of the vaccine, and we act on that. And in the past 5 years, we have not received that, but it's something to consider that we should have a research that is based on that. We have been trying to isolate the field materials just to see if our vaccine is still performing in terms of the strains that are circulating in the field. Hence, I've indicated that we have just completed construction of a vector-protected facility. Regulations in South Africa does not allow you to be testing this type of challenged clinical trials outside of a facility that is not accredited by the regulators in terms of evaluating virus efficacy or vaccine efficacy towards circulating strains. Thank you.
Yeah. May I add that, as you saw that in my presentation, the vaccination is between June and October. So since it is not like the organized government vaccination program, it gives those challenges in terms of going back, and because the horses are not in the same status. So, but we do from time to time have situations where we suspect that maybe, or the owner's insistence, we do get laboratory testing, and we all take it over to OVI. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues, for the presentations. The first question to Eswatini is that what is the role of the other non-horse equines? You mentioned the donkeys, the mules, the zebras. Do they play any role in the epidemiology of African horse sickness in Eswatini? And then to OBP, yeah, it was very interesting hearing your presentation. As you know, almost the whole world get this vaccine from South Africa. And I once attended, I think twice or thrice, attended an FEI. FEI is French Federation Equestrian, what. And the far cry was that there was not enough African horse sickness vaccine going. And I think the report was that South Africa was working on upgrading the capacity. Has that been addressed? I hope you are aware of that discussion. Has that been addressed? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Letts. I wish I had a response to that question. We also have the same question ourselves. Unfortunately, the donkeys, they're the most neglected animals here in Eswatini. So we almost never get any report of sickness. Probably they don't normally get sick, or probably their owners never see them sick. Now, for the zebras, we do suspect that they do play a role, because you saw most of the outbreaks, they're around the Xolani corridor. And there we have a wildlife game reserve, which does have zebras. So we do think they kind of maybe somehow play a role, but we have never actually done any research or surveillance to prove or disprove that.
In terms of the vaccine capacity, as I've alluded in my discussions earlier, one of the challenges that we are having, especially for African horse sickness, it's panic buying of the farmers. If you look at our 2024 number of doses that we have manufactured, it has significantly increased. And as a result, we've not had a number of complaints from the South African market, which is our main market. However, I think communications in terms of information coming to the manufacturer in terms of anticipated number of doses that we need to produce. So what we do from our side, we've got different stakeholders, especially from the Western Cape, where we do plan with them in terms of number of doses required. We also have the government that is supporting us in that area. But the panic buying is the one that really takes us out of planning, because we will produce more and more and more. However, the market will still be needing more product. But I must say in the 2024, which is our highest number, we've not seen any of the complaints. But any form of communication is welcome from our side in terms of us knowing is there a need for us to increase the number of doses that we manufacture, because at the end of the day, these products have got a shelf life that we need to look into. And we don't just go big in terms of the numbers that we are producing. We try to focus based on our previous supplies and also increases, and if we get communications from the farmers. And also, as you are aware, in terms of the vaccination period of this specific product, I think there have been changes now. The latest vaccination can only happen up to October. So we'll normally plan between June, July up to October. And after the vaccination season is out, then we normally don't have any product or major quantities of the product available. And if we are getting a country that is sitting in a different season, those are communications that will have to be coming to us as manufacturers so that we are prepared for that. Thank you.
Thank you. So more questions? Yeah, I see Bas. Bas, please.
Thank you. The background to this slot is that in the previous regional steering committee, we decided to put African horse sickness on the agenda as an emerging disease, which of course it is not. But it was an emerging problem because of reports we had received about not just a shortage of vaccines in the Republic of South Africa, but an almost worldwide shortage of vaccines, because OBP is one of the very few producers of African horse sickness vaccine in the world. So after hearing the presentation from OBP this morning, my question is, can we as a regional steering committee decide that this issue has been resolved, maybe because of the attention that we brought to the issue? And can we take African horse sickness off the list of issues or diseases to be tackled by the regional steering committee? This is a discussion that we will have to have later on, I think, when we talk about the final recommendations. Thank you.